careful that your plastic is not moving. Your plastic sometimes, if it moves, will move your tab around and it'll mess up your shot as well. If you find that your tab is moving too much, you probably need to get some new plastic or a new tab.
So also you can see how we as instructors, it's taken us a couple times to do it. It's gonna take you multiple times to get that perfect shot. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't be frustrated with yourself. Don't, be down and out about it. If you don't get the perfect shot on the first go around, just take it again. Adjust, take it again.
Okay, now look at the new image. Okay, now I have my molars. And it looks like a proper PA shot with the root and the bone around it. Yeah, and then
See how the rod here is parallel with the cone. Does everybody see that? This is parallel with this. So you have the cone and then you have that rod or the XCP. It shouldn't be, and that's how she got the perfect shot. It shouldn't be like this. Now you're crossing, correct? So everybody just pay attention to that when you're doing your x-rays, because that'll get you.
So, and then you'll go on to your premolar shots, right? Okay, so now we finished that maxillary right and we finished the mandibular left, right? We'll say we finished that. Now, what do we do about the other two sides, posterior shots, right? Because we're going to go from 3 to 4. Now we're going to go from there to 5 and 6, right? So you would think, oh, all I got to do is flip it back up. No, you have to redo your setup for the next two sides, okay? What I would suggest at this point, you want to change tabs and you want to change sensor sleeves, right? Because now your sensor sleeve is starting to get a little loose. It's starting to get a little torn. You want to go ahead and change it out and get something fresh, okay? Once again, what am I going to do? I'm going to start with my arm. Go ahead and place my sensor on. Nice new one, snug fit one, right? But I need to orient myself, right? I just am not going to do it like here out in the opening, right? I'm going to get next to Dexter. I'm going to say, okay, I'm on the left side now, right? So this is a little different. I want the arm outside of the patient's mouth, right? Now I know I'm going to be going maxillary, so now I want my tab up. All right, now I want my ring, and I want to place my ring with my tab inside of the ring, right? I want to make sure I can see my tab in the middle, right? In the middle of the ring. If you look through the middle of your ring and you don't see the tab, then your ring is not on there properly, okay? So then I want to place my sensor, and which way is the sensor port going to go? Yeah, it's going to go the same way as the arm, outside of the mouth. Again, I'm gonna align this so that the tab is towards the bottom, and then I'm getting more sensor towards the root, okay? And it's the same process. I place it on the second molar, right? On the second molar. At an angle, and I line my ring up so that it's touching, it's close but not touching the patient, right? So it's the same process. And then when you're ready and you're finished with those two, you're gonna flip it and come back to this side and do your mandibular right, right? So I would suggest when you start practicing, just go ahead and get yourself two posterior rings, two posterior arms. You can set up one, then set up the other. That way you can just grab it and go and start your other side, okay? So we went over posterior. Let's talk about anterior, because a lot of times you guys will catch on to posterior very quickly, but anterior can be a little bit frustrating because you need to angle it a little bit more. You might even need to use something like a cotton roll to position it and hold it in place for your anterior shots. Your cotton rolls will be in this little cup, right? You'll just grab one of these at the beginning of the day. I'm not going to use a cotton roll. Now, so your posterior shots cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. So your first 8 shots will be your posterior PAs, right? The next 6 shots will be your anterior shots. So it will be your canine and your incisors shots, okay? So let's start with our central incisors, right? We have our arm. Always start with your arm. And we know we're going to be taking the maxillary first because we're going to take our maxillary central incisors first, right? So this arm needs to be up, right? And then once again, we want our tab up because it's the maxillary. And it looks kind of like a throne, right? This is our little throne. Then you're going to place your ring, and just like we did before, we're going to make sure that our tab is in the middle of the ring. Now, remember from yesterday we talked about some of this is disposable and some of it has to be sterilized. What parts have to be sterilized in this particular kit? This part right here. The arm. The arm has to be sterilized, and what else? No, these tabs are disposable. So for the set that we have, the arm and the ring will be sterilized, right? And then the tabs will be disposable. And most clinics or most area departments that y'all go to, it will be that way. Sometimes though, they have non-disposable tabs, and you will know that because when you get them, they will come out of peel packs, right? If they're disposable, they'll just come like this. They'll be in buckets or in little containers in your x-ray room, and you'll grab it, use for one patient, throw it away. If it's non-disposable, you'll grab it out of a peel pack, use it for one patient, and then put it back in CSR, okay? So now that we have our setup done, we can place this sensor on. Again, you want your sensor cord going the same way as your arm. So your sensor arm, don't pick it up. Your ring. You never pick stuff up off the floor. Always get out of the habit of doing that, because if you're in the middle of a patient and you make a mistake and drop something, you do not pick it up off the floor. You leave it there until you're completely done with that patient. You've dismissed the patient and you're cleaning up your room. Okay? You just kind of kick it out the way so they don't trip on it. So you might be like, oh, okay. And then note where it's at and then go back and get it. Okay, so you want your tab and your arm and your cord going the same way. You place your tab at the edge, right? And now I'm ready to place it. So for the anterior shot, you need to place this because your palate is very narrow. You cannot place this up straight. It won't sit up straight, right? You have to angle it towards the back of the mouth to be able to close it. So you angle it towards the back of the mouth and you close this just enough to hold it in place. That's it, just enough to hold it in place. And you bring your tab in close to the patient's face but not touching. And then you bring your tube head around. Now, I can tell you, especially with these anterior shots, y'all tend to get foreign objects in it because your cord is in the shot. So all you need to do to remedy that is place the cord on top of, out of the way. How do I do this? What I like to do is just place it on this side, out of the way, kind of on here. I don't know why this chair is so far away from the seat. It's kind of weird. Anyway, I can't do that with this auditory. Just try to move it out the way. Some of you will be able to do that. Some of you won't. This auditory, you're not going to be able to do that with. Anyway, so we might have a foreign object in this image. Okay, so I have my ring, I have my sensor placed, right? I'm ready to take the shot. I'm going to make sure my yellow box is where I'm trying to take an image of. For this particular shot, it's going to be box number 10 because that is my central incisors for the maxillary arch. I'm going to start the brushing. Sometimes you're going to get an error. You're going to just hit select to bring it back. If you get an error on your remote, just hit the select button and it'll reset it. All right, so let's look at this. Okay, so on this shot, and like I told you, the anterior shot is probably the main shot that this happens on. I have everything I need. I have the root, I have the central incisors, I have the bone around it, but I cut off some of the crown. I cut off a little bit of the crown. For PAs, I am not concerned about that, especially when it comes to the anterior, because it's very hard to get that shot with the crown in it, right? For the maxillary anteriors. Not at all for the mandibular anteriors, for the maxillary anteriors, it is. So I won't count that off as long as you get some of the crown, the root, and the bone around the root. Okay? So that's how you're going to do that with your maxillary anterior shot. That's for the central. Literally for in the canines, all you're going to do is open it and then angle it. That's it. Your lateral incisors and canine shot, you're just going to open it. Also be careful of this, right? Sometimes it comes away from the plastic, and if you're not paying attention, You'll be trying to take an image and this sticky is all gone and it's pulled away from the sticky. So your scissor is just like dangling. So make sure this is sticking. If not, get a new tab. Right? And then I just take my image. This is gonna be your number 9 shot. So here's my, I probably want to move this over though a little bit. This is my K9, this is my lab room. Okay, so it should look something like that. Now for your maxillary shots, that's going to be up, right? But you don't have to flip or do anything for your mandibular anterior shot. The only thing you need to do is just turn it down and take the shots. That's it. And then make sure Dexter's tongue is not in the way and that your cord is out of the way so that you don't get a foreign object in your shot. Come on, Dexter. Close that.
What do you do for a patient who has like heavy tori? Like, it's just gonna be uncomfortable?
It's gonna be uncomfortable for them. It's just gonna be uncomfortable. You can use cotton rolls. You can try to make it like with cotton rolls and stuff like that, but they have like some clinics buy this like edge stuff that you can kind of put on the sensor edges to kind of help. But for the most part, it's not really nothing you can do to keep them from hurting. It's going to hurt them. You just got to try to be as quick and as fast as possible about it, right? It's going to hurt if they got a lot of tori. So yeah, you just flip it upside down, place it, close, take the shot, right? So the anterior is, the upper anterior I think probably is going to be the hardest shot next to bite wings, right? So now that we went over anterior shots and we went over posterior shot, let's talk about bite wings.
If you could. So the top ones are going to be 9, 10, 11?
And then the bottoms will be 12, 13, 14. But it will say it in the program.
Okay.
The program is going to tell you that. You don't have to write that. You don't have to remember that. It tells you. So
you saying in the program click on number 10 because it's the center inside?
because I was on the center, right? If the program just goes in its natural order, it's going to go 9, 10, 11. But I placed my XCP for a number 10 shot, which was your central incisors shot, right? So you can change it around. Let's say you've already set up your XCP and everything, but you set your XCP up for your mandibular molar shot, but you were supposed to be doing your maxillary shot or whatever. But whatever you did, you set it up for the mandibular molar. You could just take the yellow box, click on that area, and take the image for what you're set up for. But the natural order goes, if the computer goes by itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does that make sense? Okay. So for your bite wings, right? We need to get both the mandibular and the maxillary crowns in the shots, right? As well as your bone level. So for your bite wings and for horizontal bite wings, you're going to hold the sensor horizontally and then place your red tab in the center of the sensor, okay? So let me get this off without pulling my So look, it's just gonna be placed in the center. Does that make sense? Okay. So the first bite wing shot you're gonna take is your right molar shot. That's the first bite wing shot, right? So there's only 4 bite wing shots. Your right molar, your right premolar, your left molar, your left premolar. Those are your only bite wing shots, okay? Now, when placing your bite wing tab, right, try not to hold the tab from the inside of the mouth, because when you close down, you're going to be closing Dexter's mouth on your fingers. And you will find that patients will bite you. So, do not place that in their mouth and put your fingers in their mouth. Hold the tab from the outside of their mouth. So kind of hold the tab from out, place it, and then kind of hold the tab from out here, and then have them close, or since for our purposes, close Dexter's mouth. That will keep it from biting down on your finger.
Jennifer, can I just close that, please? Like, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be seeing this, but like, I'm getting like a serious migraine, like from the night or something. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you have medical for your migraine?
No, no, no,
Have you been to medical for your migraine?
no. I don't know myself with migraines.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take our bite wing shot, okay? Now, when you place your bite wing tab, right, you need to kind of check for it when you go to line it up. How I like to line up bite wings, right, is I look for some like anatomical marks, right, to help me line it up. For the molars, I usually go with the edge eye line, right here. It kind of goes straight down. That normally, if you can't see in the patient's mouth and see where the tab is at, that'll line you up pretty close to where your sensor is located, right? Because this is right at your molar area. If you can look in the patient's mouth, you just look, see where the sensor is stopping, and then bring your tube head in to put it around that area, right? You want this sideline to be pointing like, or be in the middle where the occlusal surface is, because that means you have it between the arches, and you're gonna catch both crowns in the shot, right? When you do your molar shots, you don't have to angle it like this. Your molar shots are pretty straight on. They don't really have a lot of horizontal angulation to it.
So if they have like a overbite or like class 3, so they're gonna affect the pictures? Like since the molars are sometimes like...
You're gonna line it according to their teeth,
Okay.
right? So wherever their second molar is, that's where you're gonna line this tab up to. So it's gonna be in their mouth. So you won't have a choice but to line up the sensor according to their anatomy. So if they have an overbite, it won't, all it's gonna do is just take an image of what they have, right? Whether or not it's gonna be harder for them to bite down, if it is, then you have things like cotton rolls and stuff to kind of help them with that, right? That also goes for people that are missing teeth. So let's say a patient is missing their second molar, and you're trying, and they, for whatever reason, they got a third molar, but they don't have a second molar, right? You can place a cotton roll in that space for you to place the tab on top of and for them to bite down on. Just you'll just kind of accommodate their anatomy. Okay, so let's see. All right. Let's see what we got here. And then there's your bite wing. Now, if you cut off a little bit of the mesial of the first molars, do not stress. You will get that mesial surface of your first molars in your premolar shot. I promise you, you will get it. So do not stress if you cut off a little bit of the first molars, right? You will get it in your premolar shot. So that's your molar shot, and everything looks pretty good. I have a little bit of overlapping, but I opened up the contacts. As long as you open up one contact, you're good, right? So bring here so I can show you what I'm talking about with opening contacts, so y'all will have it on video. So this is overlapping. This is an open contact. As long as you have at least one of these open contacts in your image, you will be fine. If every area has this on it, then that will probably be a retake, right? You just have to have at least one area where the contact has been open, meaning that you horizontally and vertically aligned it to where you can see between the interproximal spaces of these teeth in this image. If you have third molars on that patient, you need to get the third molar in that molar shot, because there is not another shot where you will be able to get the third molar. Like I said, it's okay if you cut off the first molar, because you will get it in your premolar shot, but that won't be the case for your molar shot, your third molar. Okay? All right, so let's take a premolar shot. Right, you're pretty much good on your lineup, so you don't want to change that. Like, you don't want to change your vertical. If you find that your vertical or horizontal angulation is pretty good, you can move it out a little way, but don't go changing it all around. Just kind of leave it set. Take your tab, place it between your first and second premolars. Right? Get that set. What I like to use for this to line it up is this kind of crease right here in the patient's face, because it usually gives me that angulation to place me right at the sensor for that premolar shot. So I usually like to come in straight to that crease, and that usually helps me line it up. That's kind of like my quick way of placing it, right? To try to get a fairly decent shot.